Gordon Jenkins, thank you for agreeing to come on to the Laughter Channel this morning. Wonderful to have you here. You refer to yourself as the visible guy, and I'm showing my age now, but I am guessing you're no relation to the Invisible Man. Do you remember that program?
I do. Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to everyone that's listening. I do remember the Invisible Man. I do, but I am the visible guy, and it's interesting because I used to have a business card, and all it used to say on the business card was the visible guy, and everyone used to say, "What's your name?" And I said, "My name's the visible guy," because that's what I am today, and that's what I preach. I live. I believe in it. That is my life, being the visible guy.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like that seems to be a saying, but a real reality for you is exceeding what you think is your full potential can be a reality, not a dream.
Yeah, it is. And it's, I actually coach a young lady at the moment, and she's actually going to make me change it because she talks about, I don't have time to dream small. And I think that's really the mentality about life today and about how I lead my life, about being visible. And, you know, the visible guy is about people and organizations being visible, memorable, and intriguing. It's about living the moment. Muhammad Ali said, "Don't count the days, make the days count." And I think that's really what it is. And we often limit ourselves because the system, and the system is the life system, tells you that you've got to do a certain thing in a certain journey and have a certain way. And my life journey I've never fitted the system. I've had to find my own way. And you really then find out what you're passionate about and what your really purpose is. And you realize that what you think is your potential, it's almost like your superhero that you're never actually going to meet, because you strive to be there. When you be there, you realize that, well, okay, that's my new platform. That's my new daily platform. So I can actually do more. And that's what it's about. You know, it is that light bulb moment that the world's your oyster and you can do it.
So tell me briefly what was the path to, you know, creating the visible guy?
Briefly, crikey, I've got 48 years to tell you about the visible guy. So, look, I'll tell you how it came about. And I only really realized, and it was a client that called me the visible guy. But it came over as a realization. So at school, I was a mathematical genius, but I was difficulty at reading English, and I was classed as being thick because the system says you're thick and it puts you at the bottom of the class. I wanted to do cooking, but the system said that I had to do woodwork. I'm safer today with a sushi knife than I am with a screwdriver. And I probably would have become one of the world's best chefs if I was allowed to do cooking, but the system didn't allow me to do that. Then it was, for that was the first time. Now I realize that about the system and not being invisible, because I wanted to be able to do something. And I must say this, that I am the middle child, and no, I haven't got middle child syndrome either. Right, before we'll get that away. And then I come through to working, and I worked for some of the largest financial services organizations around the world, and some of the largest private equity companies, family offices. And I've grown businesses extremely rapidly. But for me, it's always been about the people, the team. It's never been about me as a person, because I always felt that as a business, they would look after me. Well, as you know, as organizations change, they always look for cost cutting, bring new people in. They look at Gordon Jenkins, and, you know, I'm there with a high six-figure earner, but no revenue attributed to me. So they get rid of me. But what they don't realize is that what I've actually put together is the people and the culture. And I've understood that intrinsic motivation, what motivates people when connected to the business plan. So when I go, the culture falls apart. That's one side of the visible guy. And I could never understand why I was never quite there. And I was always invisible, that people only realized afterwards, oh, what a great job you did. Then I fast forward, and this is where it gets a little bit muddled. In 2006, my wife had a double lung transplant, and we were given 5 years. Yeah, she's given 6 years to live. And through that process, everyone rings up and says, how's Wendy doing? Gordon, how's Wendy doing? How's Wendy's doing? And I sort of become the primary income earner. My wife's corporate career finishes. And I'm moving from job to job for the sake of the income, not necessarily because of my career, because the most important thing is to make sure my wife's well living. And I'm driving in Melbourne. We've got this thing called the Westgate Bridge, which is a big bridge. And I'm driving over the Westgate Bridge a couple of times at night thinking, you know, is it worth jumping off? Because it solves all our financial problems. It's stupid. Go to the doctors the next day, fill out a form, and he goes, hey, look at that. You got depression and you're suicidal. I said, really? No, don't tell me something I don't know. And the system fits me up. And the system says, okay, you now have to go and see this person. But it doesn't connect the person to your issues. And I sit down in a room and I meet, you know, a 60-year-old person who's more interested in having the issues of a lung transplant than issued in what my personal problems is, because the system doesn't actually work. And I got really frustrated with that because everyone was saying, how's Wendy, how's Wendy, how's Wendy? And I realized that the health system doesn't really have a system for the carers. But the carers are really important for the people. So we are really invisible. I understand why the system is more interested in the patient than the carer, but we're an important part of their well-being and them getting back to a normal life. So I went down this path as the invisible guy, talking about the invisible guy, started coaching that, but it became a little bit negative because it came about me, and look at my problems and what I've done. And a client turned around to me and said, you know, Gordon, you're not the invisible guy, you're the visible guy. So what do you mean by that? He says, you make people and organizations visible, you make them very memorable, and you make them very intriguing. And I went, can I copy that? And he said, yeah, go away with it. That's how the visible guy came about. And the visible guy is about making people and organizations visible, memorable, and intriguing, and about living that moment. And part of my ethos is that it's about the yes, can, and will, and change mentality, not the no, can't, and won't. So yesterday I was with an organization and we did a strategy day, and the first thing I said in the strategy day is every single conversation has to start with yes, but, will, can, and won't, and it can. It can't have any negativity. And that's what the visible guy is about today. There is no negativity in my life. I don't have time for that. I have something called Your Path, Our Program, which is Our Path, Your Journey, which is about leading the path that's right for you, not the path that others have told you to tread. Yeah. And I have a lot of fun. Hence why we're doing this podcast, because it's a lot of fun.
And look, I know personally, there've been times in my life when I haven't been hooked into my dream. I've been doing what I needed to do, I thought, to make money and to get by. And, you know, the whole thing of, especially with going through either business-related or personal challenges, we meet defining moments. Yeah. Our choices at that point, you know, lead us on a path. And everyone's going to relate to what you just said then about making choices and, you know, cutting through the mist.
Absolutely. You know, you touched on something really that is at the core of what I do. And I have a phrase called make a difference, not an excuse. And people think it's a phrase that came from me. It's not. Part of my learning process is I watch MTV. And it's brilliant because I watch a program called Teen Mum and Pregnant at 16. It's about young ladies 16 and pregnant in the US. And there was a young lady who was waiting for a second child, and her mum turned around to her and just said to her, you know, can you take on more responsibility? You know, do you think you could be a bit more responsible in what you do? And the girl was giving her back mum a bit of lip. And she said, it's about time you made a difference, stop making excuses. And I thought, I love that quote because that's what life is about. And if you think about all our life challenges that we have, it's not about how you got into that deep valley and your own personal valley. It's not about that because that's the excuses. It's the actions you make to get out of it that really define who you're going to be going forward.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what it's about.
Yeah. I remember in 2001, I had 4 years of successive losses. I just couldn't believe, you know, it's like, hello. You're kidding. And then at the end of that journey, my partner of 20 years left with another woman. and I was devastated. I disintegrated, but I made a choice, and that choice, whatever it was, whatever comes into my life now, I'm going to go to it.
Yes.
And so with that choice, I just started meeting paradox and synchronicity. I still had challenge, but immediately I saw support. And that same thing has been occurring right through to now. And in, making that commitment, when we change, everything changes.
Exactly, yeah.
We can't change, really, the external events. Life is still going to occur. But we can shift, and when we do, then our reality shifts.
Yeah.
And that's something I say to my clients all the time. And on your webpage, it says, you're living proof that no matter how bad your situation appears at the time, you can position yourself for success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. It's the human race is a very giving race, but we also can be very nasty at times. And what I find about people is, if you're prepared to put yourself out there and you're prepared to show that you're willing to learn and you're willing to grow, then there's people around you that will always support you and help you grow. And I suppose this is part of the Your Path, Our Journey program. That is, when you decide you're on that path that's right for you, and you start telling people will want to come on that journey with you, and some won't come on that journey with you. And that's how you start positioning yourself for the success you're having going forward. Not the success you've had in the past, but the success that you're having going forward. And, I've had a bad situation. I used to think I wanted to be, I say to people, I used to be cash rich and passion poor, meaning that I thought everything I did was about the money. And then through the changes that's happened, I now talk about being cash poor but passion rich. It doesn't mean I don't have any money, but what makes me move forward is my passion. My passion to see people excel what they think they can do, the passion that they can forward pay their success to other people and share the other people's success, and that you're doing some remarkable things. We have a charity, and we save thousands of lives and we impact thousands of lives a year. I know the more money that I make in my business, the greater contribution I can make to the charity, which means that at the end of the day, more and more people will live. Do I know the people that I'm helping survive? No. Do I care to meet them? Yes, it'd be nice, but does it stop me doing what I'm doing? Absolutely not. If you sit there in the corner and go, what about me? What about Wayne? What about me? You're going to get less people out there. If you position yourself to say, this is the way I want to go forward, you can. I mean, I feel today, I'm nearly 48 years old, but I feel like I'm a kid leaving school for the first time and the world's my oyster. The world really is an oyster. If you've got the drive within you and the passion to move forward, people will follow you. I didn't have a bad education. I didn't have my family weren't particularly poor or wasn't homeless or anything like that. But I've had troubles, turning around and finding out your wife's going to die in 3 weeks unless you take a medical advice, that the fantastic corporate life that you had planned, because that's a traditional corporate ladder, has just suddenly been blown up. The fact that that you can't hold down a regular job because you don't know when your wife's going to be sick, and you have to be able to, you want to care for her most. So there's all these challenges, and my challenges any worse, any better, any harder, any easier than anyone else's challenges? No, they're my own personal challenges, but it's how you get out those challenges. And I am a coach, I am a mentor, I grow businesses, and I think the important thing that I say to people is, it's not about telling people what I've done, because that's more my ego. It's about sharing the stories, and that's really important. It's sharing the stories so other people can understand and relate to those stories and make those stories adaptable to them. Yeah. I'm not telling people to do exactly what I've done. What I'm saying is, I managed to get myself out. How did I manage to get myself out of this? Well, other people have shared stories with me, and I've kind of related to some of those stories. I thought, I can do it. And I think I am that living proof. I mean, I'm a happy person today. Do I have problems? Yeah, I've got some big personal problems going on, but I am a happy person. Every single day I work on that I'm awesome, and I have this, keep on posting on Facebook that I'm awesome, because really good things happen. I make sure that negativity doesn't come into my life.
Yeah.
I turn away and walk away from it.
Yeah, you know, I was in New Zealand for 20 years, and just before I left, I was very blessed. A Maori princess whom I was connected to took me into this wonderful glade in the forest, and she gave me my star name, which is Ellis, which means endurance. And when she first told me, I was really disappointed, like tears brimmed. And I thought, no, does this mean more?
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know, I can bear that. However, after I had had some time to sit with it, and I'll share it with you, I'll send you a copy.
Yeah.
I was able to formulate something about what had come, you know, what abilities I now had as a result of enduring a succession of losses. And the place I can sit in now compared to where I would have sat then.
Yeah.
Neither's right or wrong, but that evolution, that growth. And that's been one of the things I talk a lot about, helping people find joy where it appears there's none, because many have, they've got, you know, different lenses on and they're filtering the environment. So they're not seeing the truth. And one of my knacks is I can come in and I'm going, oh, for goodness sake, do you not see this? And there we are. They're like, how did you do that? And, you know, being able to harness our creativity and to use that, for me as a creative person, my brain's a bit like a pinball parlor. There are lots of little flippers going and balls bouncing around and lights going on and off. And that needs harnessing sometimes because it can be a distraction. And so because I know that, then a lot of other people that I meet are creative or more creative as well. And they need help with that harnessing too. So, you know, I've learned how to pull the reins in and do that. You don't lose the creativity, but you capture it.
You touched on something really interesting there that, you know, people say to me, you know, why are you so good at what you do, Gordon? Which is, you know, it's flattering. I said, oh, I'm not really good at what I do. That is who I am, and people connect with me. And, you know, you tell the stories as well that you can only learn so much from a book, right? That what we share is our life experiences, and you can't learn that, and no one can write the book of your life experiences. And we've all experienced different things, and we connect to people in different ways. And when you have many life experiences, I think what you're able to do is look at things in a slightly different perspective. It's the old helicopter view. You can take people out of the noise, put them at the top of the mountain where it is. We talk about working on the business instead of working in the business. It's the same, working on you instead of working in you. And it's the same fact. And we just have this knack. And, you know, I don't actually think you can write a book about the knack that we have. I'm 115 kilos, so I've got quite a big gut. So I call it the gut feeling. That's why I won't lose weight, because I don't want the gut feeling to go away. You just feel it because you just know and you've experienced something differently. And it's because of that, you can impart your knowledge and your own learnings and share those in a way that people connect. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And have fun along the way.
Yes, yes. I was just going to ask you, you know, in the work that you do, I mean, I'm hearing that there's a lot of strategy there. But, you know, do you also see that your use of humour and, you know, for me, it's when people get the they get the point, and that's joy.
Humor is everything. Humor has got me through. Right, humor and fun has got me through, and it's made me understand that sometimes I was living a life that was pretty much a dream life that wasn't really a real life. It gets me through the hard times, the good times. You know, 7 years ago, we thought Wendy only had about a year left, and we decided to live. So we decided to have the holiday of a lifetime. So we went off to Italy and France, about 4 months in Italy and France. It's a 3-star Michelin holiday, first class airfares. It was a high 6-figure holiday. the rationale behind that is the year after, Wendy wasn't supposed to survive, and her superannuation and insurance would pay for that holiday. But she wants to have the holiday and enjoy it and have that, and for me to have that memory. And we had a fantastic time in Italy and in France, traveling away. And on the way back, we were coming back in first class. We've done things like have a shower at 38,000 feet. We've eaten 3-star Michelin places. Stayed at Nonna's little cafe. Unbelievable stuff. That realistically, if I'd followed that traditional corporate path and had the house, the 3 kids, the cars, probably would not have afforded that holiday. And we're coming back from Europe, and Wendy turns around to me. I said, "Did you like that holiday?" He said, "Was that the ultimate holiday?" She goes, "Yeah." She said, "That's the ultimate holiday." She goes, "You know what?" I said, "What?" I said, "I think I'm going to live till I'm 85. And I went, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I think I'm going to live to 85 because I want more of these holidays." No. You don't understand that you're supposed to die next year to pay for this bloody holiday. She goes, no, I want more of this. And I'm laughing and joking. You go, no, do you not understand we've just spent a high 6-figure holiday so you can die and I can pay for the holiday? And she goes, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm laughing and joking. But I'll go, okay, well, let's make that happen. And she goes, pardon? I said, so you're turning something that was supposed to be, it's a holiday of a lifetime. It's the last holiday of a lifetime. And she turns around and she goes, no, I'm going to make it happen again. And, today we're on our 10th bucket list. We have fun in our lives. We've spent 3 weeks in Vegas. We've had Elvis renew our vows. We've been in a shooting alley in Vegas. We've been in some of the best restaurants. We've driven some of the fastest cars. We've had some of the best holidays. We've been to islands that probably no one have heard of. We have a fantastic life, and we have a fun life because we set ourselves goals. And when we sit there, we go, that's why we work hard to do what we do. We're not living, we're not counting the days. We're making the days count. We want to make a difference to our lives. We don't want any excuse to say, oh, we could have done this, we could have done that. No, we will do this, and we will do that. And humour is a great part. My father is terminally sick. My dad's got a few weeks left to live. And, I laugh and joke with him. He needed a new pair of slippers. And I said, well, Dad, go and get a bigger sized pair of slippers and put an insole in it. All right, because when you cark it, I can have your slippers. And we're laughing and joking about this in living. So he's giving me his left slipper. And so every time I walk in, he goes, no, you can't have the right slipper yet. You can't have the right slipper yet. So it's a laughing joke. I've got a very sad moment. I've got a few weeks left with my dad, but we're laughing and joking about the life we've got together at the moment rather than going in and crying. And he still says, do you want a game of football? Because I reckon I can still beat you, even though I can't run around. So you've got to have that humour, because otherwise you're going to sit down in the corner and just cry. Yeah. And that gets you nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So humour.
How would you describe your sense of humour?
I'm the best comedian in the world. I've got a dry sense of humour. My wife's girlfriends didn't get me the first time they met me. I'm dry. I have a dry sense of humour.
So what do you mean by dry?
I don't necessarily tell funny jokes. I tell funny stories, and those stories can sometimes be at the expense of people, but it's about them. It's not taking the mickey out of them and insulting them. I take the mickey out of myself as well. But it's just a dry, they call it a dry Northern English sense of humour. My life's all humour. I am a serious person. When I get paid to go into businesses, I get paid for outcomes and outcomes for results. But we have stories about that, and we laugh and joke about it. You have to laugh at yourself. You just have to laugh at yourself. It's about having a smile on your face. We're doing this podcast and we're smiling at each other's stories. That's what it's about. So I think I'm a funny person with a purpose, if that makes sense. I'm not here necessarily to take the jokes without people. I'm here to share stories. I talk about real people, real issues, and real outcomes. And we can have a laugh and joke about real people, real issues, and it's those stories. So it's rather than just telling a joke like an Englishman, an Irishman, and a Scotsman, it's just laughing the story. So I talk about, I ask people about what they've done fantastic, what they're really proud they've done in their lives. And I talk about that I've walked the Kokoda trick. And everyone goes, oh, that's really fantastic. That's brilliant. I said, yeah, but the real story is I actually thought I was walking Kakadu, because I'm dyslexic, and I actually got the wrong thing I was walking. And everyone laughs at that. I said, but the thing is, I did Kokoda, and I'm probably the one of the few people that's finished Kokoda heavier than them when they started. Right? But they laugh and they talk, and then afterwards they say, well, did you find Kokoda difficult to do? I said, no. It's a 96-kilometre walk. You train to walk 96 kilometres. What you can't train for is the mental resilience that's required. And the mental resilience is what I learned, not the physical challenge. So there's a story that you laugh at. You laugh at my own expense, but that's what it's about.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lesson. Since 2001, when I first began the business Joyology, I've been exploring what does it mean to be good-humoured. And one of the explanations that I have, I think to be good-humoured is to be appropriately responsive or not.
Yeah.
And to have the wisdom to know the difference. And, you know, at the base of all of that is really fine listening. When you can pick up, tune in, and a conversation becomes a bit like a tennis match. Yeah. All right, you give him really good volleys. Everything is paced and measured, calculated, but it's easy.
Yeah,
you know, and I think that good-humoured repartee is like that. It can't be developed without you've got a high-trust environment.
Yeah.
Let me just share with you. On the tour with Patch Adams, we went through Russia, Moscow and St. Petersburg, visiting orphanages. And on the bus one day, he said, so what's your love strategy, Pat? And I said, I haven't got one. I said, I've got a marketing plan. Does that count? No. And he went on to share a story about his mother, who was a diabetic, and she'd had one leg removed due to poor circulation, and he was sitting there beside her as she's coming out of the anaesthetic, and he's holding her hand, and her eyelids are, you know, starting to flutter open. And as they do, he leans in, and he's got a pretty big booming voice, and he says, well, Ma, now you know what it's like to have one foot in the grave. Yeah? Yes. And what I really got in that moment is only Patch could say that to his mother at that time, yeah, and have her laugh her head off, and us still, yeah, laugh at it. So there's got to be a relationship. What do you think?
You said something at the beginning about it has to be easy, and I think that's the point of it, that it has to be easy, and I'll say it has to be natural. You can't fake this. I don't like using the word authentic. The reason I don't like using the word authentic, because I've got a couple of friends who are executive coaches who are the ultimate authentic people and what they teach and how they go through it. But it is about that authentic. It's about being real. It's about being yourself. Fakeness can be shown really, really easy. And the easiest way I can say it is, it's just an easy conversation. It's just easy. You know when you see people that you know when to turn on the humour, you know when to turn off, you know when to ask those probing questions and how to ask those probing questions. So it's not seen as an attack. It's seen as drawing out and as assisting them. And you make a joke about it as well. You know, humour puts people at ease and makes them relax. And when people are at ease, it's almost like what alcohol does. It makes you relax. It's endorphins. And when you relax and you have confidence in the person you're talking to, everything just comes out.
Yes.
And it's, but I love that. Well, what's your love strategy? I love that. That's an interesting one to go. Not that I'm going to become a dating expert at all. It's okay, wife.
I'll actually share with you, because Patch has been asking that question of his audiences and people that he meets personally, probably for 20 years. And after that tour, he said to me, so, you know, I didn't have a love strategy. And he said, well, perhaps, he said, after this tour, you'll go home and you'll sit down and you'll write me 2,500 words on what you think your love strategy is. So I'm always up for stuff. So I came home and I did just that, and I sent it off by ordinary post, because Patch doesn't use computers. If you want to communicate, you have to write to him and he will write back. And so about, 7 to 10 days later, I get a reply. on a card, and the card said, "Bravo, thank you." For the first time, someone has replied. And I've been talking with him again because I would like for he and I to co-create, and let's create a book. Let's draw in a selection of authors and have people express. Let's give them some guidelines for how we think people might draw that thought process together and create the book. You know, what's your love strategy? So I'll send you some information on that.
I think that's fantastic. That's brilliant.
How do you sustain that good-humoured, positive aspect of yourself?
Do you want the truth or do you want the real?
No, the truth.
Can I give you the bullshit? I can give you the bullshit. Say I read lots of books and blah 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 blah. I just do it. It's in my DNA. I don't really have a magic pill. I'm just a positive. I think I've experienced, at 48 years old, I've probably experienced so much in my life that I feel I should have experienced. I feel like I should be 70-year-old now, because I don't believe at 48 years old I should have experienced what I should have experienced. Not there's any regrets about it, but that's it. So I just refuse to have any negativity in my life. It's a simple, and I say refuse it, I will turn my back, whether it's a family member, a friend, a work colleague or anyone else. I will turn my back on negative. I won't hold negativity. And by doing that, I'm only around positive people. Not only am I just around positive people, I'm around positive people that get me.
Yes. So I'm hearing there's a level of inherent ability, but also some mental rigor.
Yeah.
You know, some commitment to hold yourself to that higher place.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think, you know, many people out there have difficulty with. They get got by the external events and can take, you know, short, medium, long time to work their way through it. And so I love being able to create that sustainable thing. Life's going to happen and it will affect us sometimes. But if we can recover really quickly, I love the word equanimity, to be able to reach that place where we're not experiencing the peaks and the troughs, but rather we're in flow. So we're moving with or around events. And so we're not too buffeted by the storm.
Exactly.
Yeah. Final question.
Yep.
What's been the funniest thing that's ever happened to you?
The funniest thing that's ever happened to me. I think it has to be the Kokoda walk. Because I'm just not built. It's hilarious that I didn't know what Kokoda was even after I signed up. The whole process of never camped, right? Never had a walking shoes, never had a rucksack, anything like that. So the first night in Kokoda, we get to camp and the guide gives me a bag and I said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's your tent." And I go, "How'd you put a tent up?" And 30 people laugh at you, go, "Pardon?" I said, "I've never camped in my life. I've got no idea how to put a tent up." I said, "Do these hands look like they've ever done anything in the garden or any manual work?" I said, "I don't know how to put a tent up." And everyone laughs because, "Well, you're going to sleep underneath the stars." I said, "All right, I'll sleep underneath the stars." So the whole trip, the whole thing about how I got to do Kokoda when I should have been doing Kakadu. But there's so much resilience between that. There's so much experience behind it. Friends I've got for life. We're actually coming up to our 10-year anniversary of doing when we did Kokoda. To me, that is me as a nutshell. That there's 14 days of adversity. You're climbing over things, being overdosed on Gatorade and sugar and coffee and all this type of stuff, but you get over it. But the emptiness at the same time, that when you finish Kokoda and not having the experience and not having the feeling that you thought you were going to have, and laughing, going, "I actually thought I was going to feel something different." But when you look back on it, I still watch the video. It's a 5-6 hour video, and I still see the DVD. And I look at that going, "Crikey, Gordon, you did this." And I laugh because that's the first time where it was nothing to do with about the amount of money that I had. It was about my sheer guts and will, determination to do it. And I laugh because I can, as we talk now, I can picture me trying to put this tent up and everyone in the tent after 12 hours of walking absolutely laughing at me because I've got no idea how to put a tent up, and I find that hilarious. Right. I find that absolutely hilarious. I got people go, to me, that's new. And I think that's really, you know, that's me. But what do I learn about that is, well, what you do? Well, you're going to have someone say, look, sorry, I don't know how to put a tent up. Can you help me? And they go, you're serious, aren't you? And I go, yeah. Now, is that any difference in business or in life when you don't know what to do, to go up to someone and say, sorry, I don't know how to do this. Do you mind showing me? And that's what I live for. So I think that's one of the funniest and happiest moments of my life.
Wonderful. You've reminded me, I've done many camping holidays over the years, and I remember this one particular time, we were camping right on the beach, the most incredible onshore wind. It was just hopeless. You get one half of the tent up and come up the other end, and the other half would fall down. And so we filmed some of it, and then, what was his name? Can't think of the singer's name, but we made a little clip to the song My Friend the Wind. Yeah.
No.
Gordon, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll leave a link to your website on the close, on the credits at the end. If people want to go look, what's the name of your website?
It's called thevisibleguide.com.
Lovely. Easy to find. Thank
Easy.
you. Thank you. It's been a joy. Lovely.
Thank you, and you've made my day. Thank you very much.
We'll talk again soon.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.